I'm Leanne, and in this video I'll be sharing 15 tips and tricks to help keep your costs low and save money when hosting this Christmas. Before we dive straight in, I just want to very quickly mention I understand if some of these tips, they may not work for you, but I hope there'll be kind of, a few in there that will really help you keep the costs down this Christmas time. So tip number one is one pot meals. These can be fantastic. It not only keeps things simple, and easy for you. You can, prepare it ahead of time. It's also, lower costs. I understand if you want the turkey, and the trimmings on Christmas Day, but if you're hosting, Christmas Eve or a different time over the festive period, I think a one pot meal is fantastic. For example, we're having pulled pork Christmas Eve that my husband will serve up with some rolls, some baps, and or a chili, a casserole, a stew. I think that's a really good idea to keep those costs low. Tip number two is, for example, maybe do a trifle instead of making a Christmas cake. Making a Christmas cake can be so expensive with all the ingredients that you need, whereas a trifle, jelly, custard, some sponge fingers, and who doesn't love a trifle at Christmas time? Which leads me into my next tip. Don't feel like you have to stick with tradition in terms of, a Christmas cake. Don't feel like you have to serve a Christmas cake. Not everybody likes it. None of us like it in our family, so we skip it. Christmas puddings, again, nobody in my family really likes it. I might just get one little mini one just in case. But yeah, don't feel like you have to stick with the traditions if nobody in the family like it. Tip number four is limit the party food if you can. I know it all looks delicious, but party food can be so expensive. We, for example, are going to do just some cheese and pickled onions, on little cocktail sticks. I'll be making my own pigs in blankets, for example. You are paying a premium for all this to be done for you. If you have the time, pigs in blankets, you just buy the little cocktail sausages, you buy the bacon separate and just make your own, and it can be quite a fun activity to do with the kids too. Tip number five is minimise those duplicates. Before you go shopping, always check what you already have in your cupboards, your fridge. You may already have the items in there that you need for hosting at Christmas time. Tip number six is do go and check the clearance aisle if you do go into the supermarket, as long as it's things that are already on your list. You can get some great bargains, you can save a lot of money, but just check the dates or check, it's things that can go into the freezer. Tip number seven, if you're hosting, try to limit the expensive decor if you can. If you can forage some branches maybe, or if you know a farmer, if you live in the countryside that can get you some free mistletoe, for example, or you can forage some holly, as long as it's, it's wildly growing, you're not kind of going on anyone's private land or anything. Try to forage a few things if you can. I think just some simple tea lights down the centre of the table can look really, really pretty with some foraged branches. And yeah, just try to limit that decor if you can. I know it's so tempting, everything looks lovely in the stores, but you can do it really, really simply. I think sometimes less is more, and you can make it look really, really pretty. Tip number eight is use your budget stores, Lidl, for example, and they have the Lidl Plus app. Make sure you download that. There's so many free items you can get on the Lidl Plus app, and also discounts, and also store brands. Try and stick to the store brands, even if you don't usually. That will really keep your costs low, and nobody will notice, I'm sure, if it's a store brand over, a fancy brand. Tip number nine is get those cashback apps. My favourite at the moment is Jam Donut. I'll leave the link in the description box down below. This is the time that the cashback sites are really going to work for you. We tend to spend more money at Christmas, don't we? So get cashback on those purchases wherever you can. It's so, so worth it. And yeah, you'll get so much money back. Tip number 10 is consider click and collect. If, like me, you do get tempted occasionally when you go into the supermarkets and you want to really try and stick to your plan and to your list, consider click and collect, and save you, being distracted and tempted by all the lovely things that you'll see in store. That's a fantastic tip, I think. Tip number 11 is stick to that list. Try not to deviate in store. If you do want to go into store, I know it's lovely going in, isn't it? And it's all festive. There's lovely music playing. You bump into people that It is lovely going into store sometimes, but always make a list and try really hard to stick with it. That will keep the costs so low for you. Tip number 12 is do try to stick with your plan and with your meal plan. Otherwise, you're just likely to just keep on buying more and more things because you'll think, oh, that looks lovely, and you'll keep on buying things. It's so tempting. So create a meal plan if you can and really try hard to stick with it. Tip number 13 is check those use by dates. You don't want to kind of open up your mince pies on Christmas Eve and discover they're kind of way out of date. And this is especially important for things like, meat and fish. Just check those dates so you don't have to go and buy twice. Tip number 14 might be a little bit controversial, but do consider limiting the booze. In the past, I've gone and bought so much booze, and then generally people will bring it. If you do have people visiting or you're hosting, people do tend to bring booze and alcohol with them. So I'm sure you will have plenty. So just try not to feel like you have to buy too much alcohol at Christmas time. Tip number 15 is inexpensive gift ideas. If you do have people coming over the festive period to come and visit you, don't feel like you have to go out and buy them expensive gifts. If you want to keep the costs down, maybe if you know somebody, a loved one loves chocolate, for example, you could create a little basket or a little box of their favourite chocolates, or you could create a little basket or a little box full of like chutney and fancy savoury crackers, for example, is a lovely one. Yeah, don't feel like you have to rush out and buy expensive gifts for people. You really don't, and I'm sure they will appreciate all the love and the thought that's gone into the gift. I just wanted to finish off the video by saying, people are coming to see you and to spend time with you, having, so much fun and creating wonderful memories. Please don't load yourself with loads of debt, heading into the new year. Look after you and your financial well-being and have the most wonderful Christmas.